Okay, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. I've been asked to do a series of short sessions based on information that you might find useful in terms of building your business. And this one, I'd like to talk a little bit about what's called flow state. And the aim of this session is called flow state and session content. I've got three aims from this session. First of all, to define flow state or flow state. Secondly, flow state and client retention. And the final factor or the final outcome is about factors that we're going to consider. So those are the three outcomes. And before I do begin, flow state is actually a concept that came from a Hungarian-American psychologist called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. It's a wonderful book. There are a few people in the industry who have influenced my career, and when I bring this book up, they do say it's the best book about PT that's not been written about PT. There's also some nice stuff on YouTube that Csikszentmihalyi has done. So if this stuff does interest you, and this is a very short session, I would ask you to go and look on YouTube, and if that sort of stuff interests you, then maybe you go and purchase the book. Can I just say as well that this is my interpretation of the information that I've gathered over the last couple of years in terms of reading and interpreting and reflecting on flow and flow state. So let's define it before we move on. Flow state is defined by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the Hungarian-American psychologist, as an optimal experience. And when he means an optimal experience, basically means that what you're experiencing is an end in and of itself. You are just enjoying the moment. You are in flow. Yeah, and when I started to read this, I thought that's where I need to get my clients. What influences this? That they are just enjoying the moment. Yes, they have a long-term goal. Yes, they have something in the future, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 months in advance that they want to achieve. But if I'm going to add value and create a sense of value, then surely what I'm providing must be an optimal experience, that it is an end in and of itself. Basically, what it means is we lose ourselves in the process. Yeah, it is basically that we go just to enjoy that session. Yeah, that it is just about being in the moment, and the process of getting somewhere is just as enjoyable, if not more enjoyable, than achieving the outcome itself. When individuals have interpreted Csikszentmihalyi's work, they say that a number of things happen. And what happens when you are having an optimal experience, or you're enjoying the process just for itself, is hours seem like minutes. Our worries of the day fall away from us, and our sense of self becomes stronger. Now, what client wouldn't want that from every single session? Yeah, and I know they come to us because they have a clear goal with which they wish to achieve, but in terms of adding value to every single minute, what individual wouldn't want to feel that when they come to a personal trainer, that the session is an end in and of itself? It's about play, it's about enjoyment, it's about just doing it for the sake of doing it. The hours seem like minutes, our worries of the day fall away from us, and our sense of self becomes stronger. Flow is about creating moments, and it's those moments that have value and that people crave, and it is a moment that the client experiences, not that I create, I influence it. In terms of flow state and client retention, a major consideration to flow state is exercise choice, exercise order, and exercise intensity. Flow state, when it has been put to me visually on a graph, is a balance between complexity and intensity. If complexity is too high, I'm going to feel anxious and awkward. If complexity is too low, I'm going to be bored and apathetic. If intensity is too high, again, I might feel anxious or uncomfortable. If it's too low, again, I'm going to be bored with doing it. So when we think about the considerations for flow state, it is basically or fundamentally or a core factor is actually complexity and intensity of the session itself and the exercises within that session. And we have to get it just right, that there is enough arousal for it to be challenging, but the client also feels that they are stepping out of their comfort zone, but they are also in control of what they're doing. We've all experienced flow state, whether it was getting involved in a project, designing something, maybe playing a game of netball or hockey, that we've just been lost in the moment. We've all experienced it, but what we're trying to do as PTs now is to try and get that complexity and intensity just right. So every single set, every single exercise, every single repetition has feelings of success connected to it. That there's been just enough arousal to get the client into focus. We have taken them slightly out of their comfort zone, but they do still feel in control with our support. And those are the considerations for flow state. And when we look at retention of clients, and we know that experiences, because we've covered that in a previous session, and creating those positive feelings that drive behaviour, flow is a major consideration to retention, because we know that two of the major influences on retention are a client's frequency of visit and how often they utilise us as personal trainers. So we want to maintain how often they're coming or increase how often they're coming. Once they start decreasing the amount of times they see us, then we know that we are at risk of losing them. So if we do get the exercise content, complexity and intensity just right, and they are in flow state, hours do seem like minutes. The worries of the day are falling away from them and their sense of self is becoming stronger. Then they want to at least maintain how often they see us, if not come back for more, because they really do see value in what we offer. And we also know another retention factor that's high on the list is programming. Programming in and of itself is a factor that affects retention. If we get complexity and intensity right, the client feels positive, confident, capable. We build feelings of trust or maintain those feelings of trust, and more importantly, they are getting value. If we get the complexity and intensity wrong, they feel anxious, awkward, uncomfortable, and there's very little value. So when it comes to getting someone in flow state, getting that complexity, intensity mix according to their fitness level, their skill level, is fundamental. I said it on a previous session, I'm going to say it again. Members don't care, clients don't care what we know. They care about how we make them feel. And when it comes to creating flow state, thinking about them and how content affects their feelings is massive. Content must, and I'm not going to move away from this point, but when we think about content, one of the first key considerations to content is it must be linked to their overall goal and their overall outcome. I must be able to justify in every session why we are doing these exercises, why we are doing this amount of sets, why we are doing this amount of repetitions, because it must be linked to their overall goal. But the second influencing part of content is there must be success in the moment. We must try and put them into this state of flow. That fine balance, getting the mix right between complexity and intensity. Finally, to end this session, there are factors that we can consider. And I've just drawn up a slide where there's loads of different things on the slide, so I do apologise. but some factors that we need to consider when it comes to getting this mix of intensity and complexity. Who is the client? What's their training history? What's their previous exercise experience? What's their levels of self-efficacy? Self-efficacy being a very specific type of confidence that's related to a specific environment. What's their levels of competency like? Their levels of capability? What are their levels of anxiety like? What are their expectations? What are their goals? What's their fitness level? What's their skill level? What's their levels of motivation? How old are they? And there's many more, as you can see on the screen. But these are the factors that we need to consider. And at the end of the day, personal training is about identifying the factors that affect that individual and programming and delivering according to those factors that are affecting them at this moment in time. My aim of this session was a brief explanation of flow state. And again, this is my interpretation of flow state. If this has sparked some interest in your head, then look at flow state on YouTube. And if you want to take it further, there's certainly the book called Flow that you can get hold of and read and immerse yourself in. So my aims of this session were to talk about flow state and session content. And in terms of the real world value, the more clients enjoy the moment, the more they'll want. They'll see the value. We don't just meet clients' wants and needs. I'm afraid we don't just do that as personal trainers. We cannot make a living. We cannot build a successful business just based on meeting clients' wants and needs. Needs are what they need to achieve functionally in order to achieve their goal, and wants are their wishes. What we do need to achieve is to create a desire to be with us. Yeah, and flow is part of that desire to be with us. Just a quick task to finish off. How confident and capable are you regarding planning for flow? And what do you need to do to be better? I wish you every success with your PT business. And thank you very much for watching this video.